Welcome, acolytes. Oh, this was a voice break. No, I'm keeping it effort. Today, I'm reacting to the video of Mudahar again. And it has an extremely interesting title, to be honest. And it's The Day Before Scammers Blamed Me. Now, for those who don't know, Mudahar is actually a very, very active person on the internet. And he's basically... most of the time, by a very, very big amount of people, just very respected. He's a highly respected guy that just, he does what he does, and he does it particularly good. So, yeah, and at the end of the day, if he does something, he does it correctly. And if there is something to do, he does it correctly. And basically, he also, pisses off scammer. Who cares? F them. And yeah, so let's just, maybe or maybe not, just let's look at this. Of course we're gonna look at it because, but let's just see what he has to say about it, and let's start.
It's me, Mudahar. You know how many problems in life could be solved if people just took accountability for their actions? Yeah.
All of them. All of them. Plus 3. All of them and 3 more.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you about a month ago, we talked about a game called The Day Before, right? Now, 4 days after the day before, the game shuttered down, and all anybody could do the day after was just laugh at how bad this game released. Yeah, this might be one of the worst releases in gaming history of this decade at least. Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to go in and just basically explore and...
And by the way, The Day Before, crappy game. Outstandingly crappy. But, yeah.
Look at one of their responses, right? Now, this is a response that was posted today by the company Fantastic, the people behind the steaming, pile of crap that was The Day Before. And, accountability is an important thing. When you make a mistake, when you lie, when you make an actual honest-to-God mistake about something, even if it's not, even if it's tiny, even if it's massive, acknowledging it, taking accountability, takes some serious stones.
Yes, it does. But, on the other hand, it should be standard, by the way. Because, just taking accountability for your action is actually a pretty good thing where you grow up, learn new things, and just get, just a better human being through it. Over time, of course. And you have to also do it in the correct direction. And will there still be some assholes that actually don't believe you and think, yeah, okay, it's... Yes, there will be. And by the way, more often than not, it's natural to think that because, a lot of times, people, scammers, just try to scam you again. So, yes, this is natural. But if you want to change, you change. So, yeah.
That Fantastic didn't have, because they decided to put the blame on people like you and me. So let's read this through and dissect these scumbags' words. Recently, a lot of misinformation has emerged on the internet from supposedly anonymous sources. Now, I don't know how recent they're discussing over here. I didn't hear much about this game after its week of infamy. Anonymous people allege that we deceived players. I wouldn't really say anonymous. I'm just going to go on the record and say that, yes, to me, it personally appears that you have deceived players. You know why? Because when I was looking into their product, this is, by the way, one of the most wish-listed games on Steam at the time. So there was a lot of hype built towards it. And in their initial gameplay trailers, it was people leading to believe that this was just like an open-world survival MMO game, kind of in the same vein as DayZ, so on and so forth. In reality, all people got was the shittiest extraction shooter known to man. But we'll get to that in a bit. We worked hard and honestly on the game for 5 years. I don't deny that. I'm sure you worked hard. Doesn't mean that it correlated to a proper game, but sure. We didn't take a penny from users, didn't use crowdfunding, and didn't offer pre-orders. All of these, as far as my knowledge goes, is true. So of course, in that regard, I don't know anybody that was claiming that they were crowdfunding, taking pre-orders. You did take penny from users.
Yes, you did.
When you sell
yes.
the game, you make money, right?
Yes, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. Yes, they made money from it, so yes, they took money. Through the sales, they took money. And some of you may be, well, I mean, they sold the game, of course they took, yes, because they did. They took money and they didn't deliver. That's the worst thing you can do. Let's just take my channel as a little thing. I don't promise you freaking outstanding videos that will freaking mind boggle you and just make you a different human being after you see it. No, I just do reactions. And that's fine, because I didn't overstate. I didn't say, well, this is what I'm doing and it's beautiful and I'm doing this and... No, I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to do what I'm doing. And that's fine. And then you have people like that just overstate or overpromise. And yeah, after a while, you just F up. And if you do that and then pretend like you actually do something special, or do something honorable, or just that other people are bad because they did this and criticized you. No, they're not. They're completely in the rights to do what you're doing, as you have the right to freaking get out, get paid for your game, and do what you're doing. What you shouldn't do, or don't have the right to do, in my opinion, is to lie about it, don't deliver the product you promise, and then say, well, but we didn't do it, we didn't want money for it. Of course you did. You took money from it. What is this bullcrap and obvious lie? Of course you did. Why are you lying about it? It's a freaking normal transaction. And it's fine. It's fine to make a living out of the things you actually want to do. It's totally fine. Just own it.
Right? Like that's not a shocking thing to come on now. Even after the game was closed, we, together with the publisher, returned money to all players, including forcibly issuing refunds to those who did not request them. How many companies return money like that? We are not a fly-by-night company. We've been operating since 2015 and have always conducted our business honestly. Now, again, when it's like how many companies refund money, there were literally guides on how to request Steam refunds. For those of you who don't know...
Yep. There is a guide on that, and let's just say a lot more. Not gonna dive into it too much, but yep.
Steam has a policy where you can refund a game if you played it less than 2 hours. Well, in this case, people were getting their refunds if they played longer than 2 hours because of the nefarious, reputation the game had gotten. Now, at one point, it appeared that a message from Edward Gotovstev, one of the co-founders of Fantastic, according to this app2top.com, leaked this to the network, okay? Basically, they had said that at some point they sold 200,000 Steam units, but they had 91,000 units returned. Nearly half of their sales were being refunded through Steam. So obviously a company known as Mytona, their publisher, jumped in and started to actually apologize. Thank God for image backup. So Mytona says to all the day before players, as the investor of the day before, we would like to provide some updates on the current situation around the game. We are sorry for the fact that the game didn't meet the expectations of the majority of the players. Today we will work with Steam to open up refunds for any player who chooses to make a refund. We're in contact with Fantastic regarding the future of this game. So again, yeah, this was not just them, it was actually more, I would say, Steam, Valve, and also the actual publisher having to jump in and basically clean the egg off of their face. So then it's saying anonymous people allege that we deceived the investors. That's not true. We still have a great relationship with our publisher. Dad still loves us. The closure of the day before did not affect our partnership.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as Daddy loves us, yeah, Daddy just wants your money, right? Daddy just wants your money. Don't get overexcited about it. Yeah, so there's that. There's that.
Since 2021, we've had a New Zealand venture called Mytona Fantastic and a successful game, Prop Night, which, by the way, is dead in the water, as is most of their entire Steam history, as most of their development history is all dead in the water. So I don't really know how great the relationship is, considering that this game failed, and so did everything else. In fact, the entire studio seemed to have closed down. If you had a good relationship, they might have done more to pull your chestnuts out of the fire. So then they say anonymous former employees tell different stories about the development. We're unsure whether these employees are real or not, but we had excellent relationships with our team. Despite being a small indie company with a limited budget, we assisted employees with relocation and healthcare and helped some of them to buy equipment and with their mortgages and other personal matters. So what they did was provide severance and of course, like their obligations necessarily to when people are laid off and studios close because of administrative decisions being this goddamn stupid. Now, look, at the end of the day, I'm not here to do the he said, she said game. I'm here to only play with the objective fact, and there are plenty of objective facts. And in this situation, look, whatever your relationship with this game development company is, it really seems like there were a chunk of people, even in their community, which...
And by the way, if you do your obligations, that's not a show of goodwill. That's the bare minimum you have to do. And especially if I hear something like that, those people seem to be effed up moral busybodies. Just for F's sake, take the L, say, yep, we effed up, we totally effed up, and just do better the next time. But don't go around and just pretend that you're some holier than thou type person. You know it, I know it. 99% of the human race knows it. You're full of shit.
Obviously, they're not going to be working at the company, or a little bit, misled. I remember even looking into like one of their Discord managers who were basically out there defending them until the very bitter end when all of the House of Cards here started falling. And again, it seems like a fair few individuals were sort of taken by surprise at how bad things were actually going to get. Now again, ladies and gentlemen, it's good, and I'll give them credit. It's good that you're helping former employees with mortgages, equipment for them to find new jobs. That's great and all. But it doesn't take away from the fact that you lied and caused this all to happen. The saddest part about this is people that actually wanted to develop a game and people who are actually the cogs in the machine have to suffer the most because of the dumbass choices of the people at the top of this stupid company. So here they say, who made money on the day before? Now this is a goddamn doozy, okay? So I want you guys to prepare for this stupidity. Certain bloggers made huge money by creating false content with huge titles from the very beginning to gain views and followers, exploiting the lack of information about the game's development. Their actions triggered a gold rush amongst content creators due to the game's pre-release popularity. So I love this, by the way, too. They're trying to make it look like this game was like the California gold rush of crapping on them, which, listen, anytime a controversy happens on YouTube, there's going to be a bunch of videos. This shouldn't shock anyone. But to say that...
No, of course, and it's the typical lame excuse. Well, you profited out of my thing. Just shut the fuck up. Of course there are some freaking YouTubers that actually make a news outlet. Of course there are YouTubers that gonna do it. Of course there are YouTubers that gonna go in and just do their thing to do their thing. But you can actually use this to your freaking poses, so you actually stand better out there than you actually started. Because you didn't sell the copies because you actually have this of a good game. No, your game sucked. But the people that actually played it sold it for you, and it was fine. And you were fine with it then. But now suddenly they make money out of you? Fuck you.
Because bloggers are crapping on your game, that doesn't invalidate the criticisms that people raised. Look, I can tell you right now, if you look at the day before, you'll probably find big videos from YouTubers like The Act Man, Skill Up, me, everyone else involved. Charlie talked about it. Every single person with a sizable platform that was in the gaming sphere rightfully shat on this game. And I'm gonna speak for myself here. Yes, I made money crapping on this game. You know what? You know what a counter to that statement is, just to basically soften their stupid claim here? I talked about Pal World yesterday and a day ago. I think this week in general. I made 2 videos on Pal World. Now, both of those videos, one of them at least, is getting the same viewership in like a day or 2 that my entire lifetime view of like the initial day before video made. So
damn. Nice.
Obviously, I can get the same viewership whether the coverage of the game is negative, whether the coverage is positive. Yes, negativity sells, but if you understand how YouTube algorithms work and you understand that if you cover a trending topic, whether you're positive or negative, you will get viewership drawn towards you. And here's the thing, even with games like Pal World, I have not been given a single dime from the development studio for that game. And that's it. The only correspondence I believe I've ever had is I think a community manager reached out to me, which I saw like a day ago, and they were talking about my like recent videos, the controversies of Pal World, where I gave them an objectively fair shake. Now, at the end of the day, my first Pal World video, I did cover it with a lot of sincerity, and I covered my honest thoughts onto it, and it was very positive. And the thing is, that wasn't a video that was paid for to make. That was just something I made because
Yes, because you generally actually like it. And yes, it is what it is. I mean, you can see in the background I'm even playing this freaking game, and it's a good game. Why doesn't Pal World, even though it's way bigger than your game, why aren't they crying about that people are actually abusing the thing, that abusing the poor creator of the game because, well, bad people that actually do it? No. You know why? Because your game is shit. And you know your game is shit. And that's why... Damn, he looks bad at this. And that's why, well, you cry about it right now. It's that simple.
Genuinely spent 20 hours in this game and wanted to talk about it. And yes, that means that bloggers, whether they make negative or positive content, it's not as if that making money on that content is wrong. It's that as long as you're providing honest commentary and your actual beliefs on the matter, that's all that really matters. And when it comes to the day before, I can say a vast majority of influencers in my camp and me made this with our actual honest-to-God thoughts, in that this game was created by a bunch of fraudsters, okay, that basically showed one piece of advertising, and their final game was not even close, in my opinion, reflective of that. So this is where they go into, why did they say that the released game is not the same as that in the trailers, and why was the game closed? We implemented everything shown in the trailers, from home improvements and a detailed world to off-road vehicles. We only disabled a few minor features like parkour due to the bugs, but plan to include them in the full release. Now obviously this is a game that comes out early access, and when you release a game early access, you're probably not going to have every single thing available, because the 1.0 version of the game, which usually comes after the early access period, does contain all of the stuff that the game should have. But I want to reiterate, when I covered their shitty game, I looked at their announcement trailers, their gameplay trailers, and there was a stark difference between what we had seen and the final actual release of the game. There were so many elements from the announcement trailer that made the game feel more lively, more dynamic, more close to a game brand that they were basically aping, in my opinion, The Last of Us. And then the final product comes out, and it's not even an open world MMO game. It's a goddamn extraction shooter, which if you want to play an extraction shooter, dog, there's millions of them at this point. You might as well play the ones that have effort put into them. Anyways, remember the experiment where you're asked to count pink objects in a room and then recall the blue ones? Okay, so now we're getting into Psych 101 here. You won't remember any. It's all about focus. The negative bias instilled by certain bloggers making money on hate-affected perceptions of the game. Look at unbiased gameplay like Dr. Disrespect stream and release. You know what? I actually did do that for my video. The gameplay that I primarily wanted to show in my video was from Dr. Disrespect.
Damn,
now,
look.
it's not that I'm a fan of like Dr.
Yeah.
Disrespect or anything. I just think that when it comes to these type of games, battle royales and extraction shooters, he's probably the only one that shows up in my feed. So I'm like, look, I'm not gonna go buy your game and get scammed personally myself, in my opinion. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at a stream for the video game, and that's why I love live streamers. If you watch a live streamer play a game, typically in an unedited manner, you can see exactly what the game is gonna be like before you end up spending your money on it. And Dr. Disrespect's gameplay, they claim, despite the initial bugs and server issues, he liked the game, which we fixed later. Your game died in 4 days, so again, what did you really fix and what did it even matter? Yeah, just because he likes the game doesn't mean that I have cataracts or I'm fucking blind. I could see the animation quality, I could see the gameplay, the lack of zombies in this open world survival MMO. Dog, there is more survival going on between my walk to the office water cooler and back to this computer, okay? That's it. So get out of here with he liked the game. See, it's unbiased. I watched the unbiased gameplay. It still didn't look good. And the game received improved reviews over the weekend, okay? Unfortunately, the hate campaign had already inflicted significant damage. Again, when they say hate campaign, look, like I said, YouTubers, if you make a good game...
Yeah, and by the way, if you ever hear someone bitching about it, like they do, instantly retreat the game. Don't even wait. Just instantly say, yep, I'm done, and just get the fuck out. Just get the F out. Because we're done at that point. And yeah, it's just, it's I don't know how freaking entitled are you to think that everybody has to see your shit? That you're the one golden standard child that it just doesn't make sense to me. Just own up the freaking mistakes you did. And I don't even mean that you have to like accept that someone's extremely toxic against you. Hell, I'm a full-blown free speech advocate, and even I am like, yeah, if this goes too far, you'll get effing blocked. No hate, only arguments. But then you have some pussies like that, and it's
will make good coverage of your game. Pal World is killing it in the coverage right now. And obviously, a lot of people enjoy that game. And that's why it's doing very successful on not just Twitch, on YouTube, but also selling millions of copies. Literally almost a day. It's like every day they sell like 1 million more. So, by the way, after sales closed, many people wrote to us that bloggers had deceived them, and they liked the game. I love this line. Many people wrote to us, they do not produce the actual emails.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. They asked for access. We also heard petitions were created to continue development, and on the black market, the game price exceeded $200. Some even began to make their own mods. So when they mention black markets, they're talking about like CD key, like after markets where you buy like CD keys for cheaper. Yeah, just because your game was priced at $200 and I guess maybe it's sold doesn't actually make it good. People were just buying because at that point they considered it a rare entry in their Steam library.
Yep.
That doesn't make your game good.
Yep.
So yeah, this is an entire coat post from these guys to basically deflect and never take any acknowledgement. And look, we can talk about the day before forever, but it's already the day after. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just make a comparison to another group of developers. Look, when you lie and make a mistake this heavy, people are not going to forget it, right? Like, gamers are not stupid individuals. When it comes to...
I'm not saying that gamers are stupid individuals. On the contrary. I think that gamers are intelligent individuals for the most part. But if it comes to drama like this, people tend to forget, and that pretty quickly. And now I'm gonna fight on this hill until the end. And yes, you may say, but the internet never forgets. Of course the internet doesn't forget, but gamers do. And if you wanna say, but no, just look at the pay-to-win, freaking everything pay-to-win that just plagues our gaming site right now, and tell me I'm wrong.
Buying a video game and people sharing and streaming their experiences, if your game plays like crap, looks like crap, people will talk crap. If your game is fun and your game is enjoyable, like Palworld is, and again, I'm gonna keep making that comparison, especially for this,
yes.
People will share it,
And you should, because Palworld and this crap are two similar things. To a degree. And Palworld, just F them. Yeah, if you just get the two things in the arena, Palworld wins. It's not even a fight.
People will talk about it and people will buy it and share it with their friends. That is the difference between your game and a successful game. These guys released a game that was so buggy, alright, at launch, that it could be classified as a bug-type legendary Pokemon. But Palworld comes out and they have a pretty clean, clear, crystal game that seemingly with very little bugs. A game that even in its early access feels fun to play and it doesn't feel like a nuisance on my system. There are key differences. Look, even with other developers that have made mistakes, one of them is CD Projekt Red. Look, they made a serious mistake with Cyberpunk 2077, where they, in my opinion, straight up lied to the audience about what was in the game. Now, they could have said, fuck you guys. Instead, they decided to go back, patch the game up, make Phantom Liberty one of the greatest expansions in video game history, in my opinion, and then end up releasing a game that now, if it released, could easily hit Game of the Year, in my personal opinion. But hey, forget about them. They're big, rich AAA developers. What about a small indie team like Hello Games? When they released No Man's Sky years ago at this point, it launched with as much hate, if not more hate, than your game had. Now, instead of them going, you know, you guys are wrong, they hunkered down, accepted that they made a mistake, and you know what they did? They patched their game up. And now No Man's Sky is one of the best space exploration sandbox games in the market. You guys couldn't leave your game up for over 4 days, took an L, and then still couldn't accept it. And now all you're gonna do is sit here and co-post as your company is completely shattered. So yeah, this is how Fantastic imploded, and honestly, I would have a lot more respect if they didn't even make this response to begin with. That said, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it.
Yes, and as it is, if you just have... this is the thing I actually did a few days ago. Nobody cares about your little wee-wee problems. You fucked up. You did it. Nobody else did it. You effed up. You made a very inferior product. Let's be honest, it's not a good game. And now you're crying around. Get the fuck off. Get the F off. It's really sad. It's really sad that people just think that they are like end all be all, and they think that they are something effing special for no effing reason. And it's just get the F out at one point. Just accept that you lost. You shown everyone that you're a loser by bitching around, and just accept it and get the fuck out. But as it is, Acolyte, good night.